you for joining me. I know you guys probably have a ton of stuff to do today, but I have something really special in store for you. I'm gonna teach you how to make a wall hanging bottle opener for alcoholic beverages or non-alcoholic. So I'm gonna take you through this, how I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna tell you all the materials at once because that would take a little bit, because there are a decent amount of materials, and apparently there's a helicopter search going on above my house right now. So, what happened? Oh, you scared me. Okay, so what you're gonna need at first, you're gonna need 4 pieces of wood in total. And I'm gonna show you the measurements that works for me. It doesn't mean you have to do these measurements, but again, it's all where you're gonna put it, what kind of space you're gonna put it at. But you're gonna need 4 pieces of wood. So if you wanna put the camera down, babe, thank you. The pieces of wood that I have here, this one is 18 inches long. I'm really sorry about the helicopter if you guys can hear that, because that's a little bit intense. This one is 18 inches long by 7 inches wide. This guy is 6 inches long by 3 inches, or 3 5/8 of an inch. This is 4 inches long, 4 inches long, and also 3 inches, 3 5/8 of an inch. Again, this is all gonna be tailored to your specific area. This is just what's working for me. I have the dimensions on my Hometalk post and my YouTube tutorial. So what you're gonna do with these 3 pieces, the 2 4-inch and the 1 6-inch, you're gonna be creating the catcher. The catcher for the caps is gonna go at the bottom. So this is what it's gonna look like, and we're gonna put some wire on top of it. So the first step you're gonna do is obviously cut your wood to your desired dimensions, but you're more than welcome to follow mine on my Hometalk. We're gonna glue these pieces together. So what I did is I just took some wood glue, I trimmed it on the edge of the pieces of these 2 4-inch pieces, and we're gonna put it together with the 4-inch pieces going along the outside of that 6-inch piece. All right, so for this guy, you just want it to set so it kind of just has a little bit of security. We're gonna come back and nail it once the glue gets a little bit more hardened. But right now, this is the first step, at least how I'm gonna execute it, for making the bottle catcher or bottle cap catcher, and I'm gonna throw it on the floor. So we're gonna set this aside, and this is what you should have so far for the little bottle top. Now we're gonna move on to adding the quote to the backboard piece, if you will. So again, catcher is gonna go at the bottom. I'm probably gonna put a quote in the middle, and then the beer opener is gonna go at the top. And because I don't have good freestyle handwriting, I always like to use tracing paper and a pencil and some paint, which I'm gonna show you all right now. So this is the tracing paper. I know that if you're a crafter, you'll know where to find this. If you don't know where to find this, I linked it in my YouTube channel, but also just, you can Google it onto Amazon and purchase it, and it got here the next day for me. So it has different colors too, depending on the different kind of wood you're using. Mine is white, unfortunately, and you can't really see it on here, but let me just show you how I'm adding that quote. So, okay, so now we're gonna I'm gonna kind of measure where I want it, just because, you know, you want it kind of in the center. So what I do while this is drying, I kind of set it up here. I have my bottle opener. I just want to gauge where I would want my quote. So this is the tracing paper, and you put it chalk side down. And then you can design something online. This one is gonna say cheers. My other one says take your top off, and I'll show you that one as well. And then you're just gonna center that on top of the tracing paper and center it where you would want it onto your backboard, obviously. And these, I swear I should just call the city and tell them to call off the helicopters, because this is ridiculous. Okay, so once you have it where you want it, I just take painter's tape to secure it, because I've had an experience before where I thought I could just hold it down and do it, but I couldn't. So I'm gonna straighten it out a little bit, and then you just kind of tape it, tape it down here. And I'm gonna spare you, I already prepped one that has the cheers on it, so you guys aren't sitting here for 5,000 hours. And then I'm just gonna show you, if you guys have never seen tracing paper, I just wanna give you an example of what it looks like. So when you do the tracing paper, you're obviously just gonna trace whatever you have. You don't need to use tracing paper. You could do wood burning, you can do stamps, you can do stickers, you can do decals, you can do stencils. All right, so I'm just gonna do this really quick so you guys can kind of see it, so you know what I'm working with when I flip this around and show you the finished product of how I got it. You're just gonna trace this guy, and obviously you wanna make sure you trace all the nooks and crannies. The tracing paper, what it puts onto the wood is chalk. It's not permanent, so don't freak out if you mess up, because you can go back and erase it with an eraser or use a wet towel. So you're gonna go through, make sure all this is good to go. I just want to show you guys. Okay. And then for the lines, well, these are going to be off because the tape came up. So right now, we're going to take off the tracing paper, and it should say cheers, and it doesn't for whatever reason. Well, there's that. Not too sure why that happened, but whatever. It should be an outline that says cheers, and then when you fill it in and paint it, it turns out something like that. So normally, that's really strange actually, why that did that. I think I did it wrong. Make sure your chalk side is down for your tracing paper. That's a lesson. And because I already prepped one that's already glued and we don't have to worry about it falling apart, we're gonna move on to creating the catcher in its entirety before gluing it on. So right now, we'll set this one aside. You can just wood glue it, or you can do what I do. I added finishing nails just to ensure that it stays together, because 9 times out of 10 when I'm working with wood glue and I think it's gonna stay, it never ends up staying. So what I do is I had this little random box of nails, and it had the perfect size finishing nail. If you guys don't know what a finishing nail is, something with a tiny head at the top. And again, like I said earlier in this live, comment down below what you would do differently, tips and tricks, because I know I don't do everything by the book, but I'm just gonna nail a finishing nail into each of these corners to make sure that this guy stays together. So we're just gonna finish nailing this in. And now we're gonna move on to using chicken wire. You can use a mason jar for the catcher at the bottom. You can use all wood so you don't see the bottle caps, but personally, I wanted to see the bottle caps. Okay, so when you're working with wire, I learned my lesson. I had to wear gloves because the little side pricklies tend to sneak up on you. You're just gonna take it out, obviously, and we're just gonna cut a piece that covers this front piece, because I wanna be able to see the caps in it. So I'm using my metal shears, and what I would do is I go in, and I'm not gonna snip it because I already snipped a piece, but what I do to measure properly is I just line it up to make sure that like a line is on this side and a line is on this side. And then what I do is I just snip right next to it where, I'll snip it because it's okay. And then like this, so when I can pull this away, I'm gonna have little guideline marks of where I need to cut, because you don't need to be doing it, you know, with that on top of it. So then you have these little like holes almost, if you can see it right there, and that's gonna be your guideline to cut from point A to point B with these metal shears. One thing that I do have to say, I'm actually just gonna cut one so I can show you. When you're cutting this if you guys are using wire, try to get as close, I don't know if you can see it as close, you wanna get it as absolutely close to this line as possible, because look, see that? It's smooth, but if you cut in the middle of one to cut it down, you're gonna be left with these jagged pieces, and this is what's gonna catch you, and that's gonna cause an injury. So make sure you're cutting it so it's absolutely smooth along that edge versus rough. But I already cut a piece for you guys, so we can throw this out of the way. And so this is gonna be your actual catcher. And believe it or not, for the corner pieces to hold this down, because this wood is so soft, I ended up just using push pins. And this is also in my random assortment of nails and things. So I'm just gonna grab one. So you're gonna put a push pin into each corner. So I'm just gonna push it, and literally it's so soft, you can just push it in there, but if yours isn't, you're gonna have to hammer it into there. And then I actually go to this corner to make it opposite. And then I actually put the push pin like in the corner of one of the squares of the wire. That way there's no like looseness to it. And if this part is sticking up, you can put pieces, like 2 more studs down here. I'm gonna see if it will work by not doing it. On my other one that I have prepared for you guys as well, I have, oh, I don't like how that's sitting. Oh, that was a piece of my nail. Well, that's just gonna have to stay there. I'm gonna move that at the end of the live. I don't like how that's not centered. All right, so now this one, push this down, and then I'm gonna go back in and just hammer them. Oh, my table. If you're just tuning in, I really wanna take this out. This is really bothering me. But it's like, there we go. All right. So now you're gonna push a push pin into each corner, or a nail. If this is a little bit too open for you guys, mine actually seems to be pretty closed this time around. I would add 2 more studs down here, but I'm gonna see how it works with just these 4 push pins in the corner to hold this to here. So now what we're gonna do is add, actually, I'm gonna add the beer opener first, and then I'm gonna hammer that onto there. So you're gonna need your drill, and then your beer opener. I got mine from, or my bottle opener, I got mine from Home Depot, and it comes with 2 screws already, so that was a total blessing. Normally I always have trouble finding these screws. So you're gonna center it. I already did so, but what I did is I just took my measuring tape and just made sure I wanted it, like I marked the holes where I wanted it. Not good with the screw. Are you good? Okay, just look like. All right. Okay. So now we're just gonna wait. Okay. And I always leave that one a little loose so I can go back in and tighten it when I do the bottom one. So we're adding the opener to the wall mount right now. So now for the back of your catcher, you're obviously just gonna line it with wood glue to have that extra security. And then you're gonna place that guy, wink. You're gonna line him up to the bottom. And your measurements are all gonna be different. Like depending if you wanna do an extra large one, you don't have to do my size. Pinterest also has a lot of good ideas for dimensions. I just kind of winged mine around, but then I ended up really liking the skinniness of it and just like the simplicity. Okay, let me make sure. I'm gonna make sure all my edges are aligned. And then we're gonna add some finishing nails. Ooh. And I always have extra paper towels just in case I get some spillage. All right. And don't forget to share this video and show it some love, especially with all my beer lovers out there that are liking this so far. Be sure to just send it some hearts. Okay, so this is what you got so far. This is it. I'm just gonna add finishing nails to the back to make sure that this thing, like when it gets full, it doesn't just topple over and fall off. So you're gonna flip it this way. And I'm actually gonna hold it with my hand because I had an incident when I was doing my other one. And now, let's see, I'm just gonna add 1 on each side for right now. I'm gonna go back and do 1 on each corner. This is too long. Okay. Whoop. So, I'm just gonna take it, make sure. I'm pretty sure that's not. I'm the worst with hammers and drills, so bear with me for a second as I try to figure out where that wood is. Okay, so what we're doing, we're just adding some finishing nails to this catcher to make sure that it stays, because you don't want to be in the middle of your barbecue, pop your beer, and then the whole thing just falls apart and your friends look at you like, you made that and that just fell apart? Because I just made a basketball rack and that happened at a party and that was kind of embarrassing. All right, so now I'm just adding 2 finishing nails. Oh, that nail twisted, that's okay. And then another one to the bottom. I did my other one in different corners, but because I want to spare you guys some time, because I know and you guys have other things to do, so. Oh. Why? The worst with nails, the worst with hammers. All right, well, that didn't even go through, but that's okay. All right, so you should have something like this. Let me show you my other one too, so you know how sassy we can get. The one that commented that you had this one as well. So there you guys have it. See, for this one I had to add 2 extra studs to the bottom because this wire lifted up, but it doesn't look bad at all. I really like the 4, but you know, if your wire's pushing out, you can add more studs and it actually gives it a little bit more feminine, like little take on it. And if I did not paint these lines straight, this is a trick for you. If you are using lines on yours, I just use a level and a black Sharpie paint pen. That is always a good little way to go if you have a wiggly hand like me. And then just so you guys know it works, we'll just test it. All right, guys, cheers. I don't drink beer. I'll let my boyfriend drink that. That's filming right now. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys had, oh, you got it? Cheers.